And good evening, everyone. Welcome to another exciting Saturday night wine stream and another exciting adventure with Drink with Rick. On Drink with Rick. I'm Rick, and tonight, no, I haven't had it yet. I haven't gotten started yet, but we will. We will very shortly. Tonight, we're going to review. This is going to be a little bit different. Now, normally, I'm a red wine kind of guy. Most of you know that watch regularly. I'm really kind of I prefer red wines to whites and rosés and that sort of thing. But tonight we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do a Chardonnay. We're going to go with a white wine tonight. This is going to be a Chardonnay. And so it's going to be interesting to drink this. This may or may not be a long wine stream tonight, folks, because depends on how the Chardonnay turns out, at least for me, whether or not I like it or not. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. And then there's another reason why I'm mentioning this, but I'll explain it in just a few moments. But first, I want to get started and say hi to everyone who's joined me tonight. Please join in. We've got a very exciting show tonight, provided that we can stream this whole show. I was having a little bit of an issue with OBS. I use open broadcast software to do the show with, what's known as OBS Studio, and it's crashed on me 3 times today. So I'm hoping that this is going to be stable. I did a couple of tweaks with it. Hopefully it should be okay for tonight, but if the stream suddenly drops live, I will do my best to get it started. Just be patient with me. I'll try to get it started back up again as quickly as possible and get back online to complete the stream. Hopefully we won't have an issue with it, but try to go easy on it tonight so it doesn't have a reason to do that. Of course, we're running on Windows 10 and we're running, who needs a reason, right? It just crashes. Sometimes stuff crashes without a reason, but hopefully it should be all right. Now, if you're joining me for the first time, this is Drink with Rick. I am Rick. I am not a sommelier. I'm not a wine professional. I'm just an everyman who likes to drink wine. I enjoy the wine for being wine, and I will open, taste, and review wines from that perspective. So if you're looking for a professional sommelier, I'm not him. I'm not it, okay? But if you're looking for somebody who's like 99.9% of the rest of us out there who likes to enjoy a good wine and who's looking for recommendations for a good wine from another every person, somebody who is knows what he likes and what he doesn't like and what he has paired with foods and what he thinks tastes good to him, then you've come to the right place, because that's what we do on this show. Of course, you can watch us on Facebook. You can watch us live on Facebook on our Facebook page at Drink with Rick. You can watch us on YouTube. YouTube is Drink with Rick. You can also catch it on Twitch. If you're into gaming, you're on a Twitch. And you know what? Twitch isn't just for gaming anymore. There are a lot of people doing cooking shows and things like that on Twitch. So and a lot of food and drink related stuff. So you can catch us there under food and drink. And that is Drink with Rick 1, the number 1. Drink with Rick 1. You can chat with me live there. You can also watch on Twitter. You can go to @DrinkWithRick on Twitter and follow me there on Twitter. And we're live on Twitter, at least last time I checked a few moments ago, but we are live on Twitter, courtesy of via Periscope. And you can also catch us at our website at drinkwithrick.com. Now, we don't have a live chat going on there. There are comments. If you click on the post for the live feed and go to that post, there is a comment section down below, and you can comment in there, and I will respond in kind. So feel free to check it out at drinkwithrick.com. Also, our podcast, if you don't catch us now live on the feed, you can also watch it on the rewind, so to speak, on Facebook and Twitch and YouTube, and on drinkwithrick.com. But if you prefer to listen, because a lot of people prefer to kind of listen to it later, you can catch the podcast that goes out at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Eastern Daylight Time, as it is right now. And you can catch that at drinkwithrick.com. And we're also, this on Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern on Monday nights, every Monday evening, 10 p.m. sharp. And that you can pick that up on Spotify, on let's see, where are we? Stitcher Radio. You can pick it up on Blueberry.com. You can get it just about every place where you can get a podcast. You can, of course, you can also subscribe to the podcast. You subscribe to the podcast here on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Deezer, anywhere you want to subscribe to it on your favorite podcatcher, and on your Android or Apple device, iOS device. And of course, you can do an email too. You can subscribe by email, and every time a new episode drops, you will receive an email notification that the new episode is there and ready for you to listen to. You can also listen on your Amazon Echo or your Google Home device. You just say play, say the wake word, play Drink with Rick podcast, and it should be able to play. Let me know if it doesn't, because it does for me most of the time. But tune in too. You can watch. You can, if you like to listen to tune in. You can, and iHeartRadio. We're on both of those. Anyway, so let's get over to the wine. Before we get started, let me check the chat. I don't know if there's anything going on in the chat per se right now, but we can check. And it's kind of quiet right now. I expect people tend to come in later on after we've actually opened the bottle. Some people do. Matt was here last night, my good friend Matt, last week, he watched me struggle with opening that other bottle of wine. And this is what we're opening tonight. So let me give you a closer view of this wine. This is what we're opening here is a Terre Chardonnay. This is a wine from Australia. And this is actually, it's from Australia. It's imported from Australia, but it's bottled from a company this is the Terre Cellars in Madera, California. That's who does the bottling and distribution of it. This is a very interesting wine because, as you know, I have been on the last few weeks, I have focused on budget-friendly wines for all of us who have been on a pretty tight budget due to the pandemic and the current economic situation. So I've picked some very budget-friendly wines, and we're going to go through that in just a few minutes. So this is one of them. The interesting thing about this wine is, if you notice on the front label, there is no year. There's no vintage on the front of this bottle. So that's very, very interesting. And in fact, I think that's the first bottle of wine I think I've ever come across. I think that's just about the first one that I can recall that I've ever come across that does not have a vintage year on the label. There is no 2016, 2017, whatever it is. And I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea what year this wine was from. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Apparently they've been doing this wine for a few years, for a number of years, and it seems to be rather popular in some circles as a budget wine for the price. So I'm going to give it a try, and we're going to try it out. This was recommended to me by my good friends at Winestore, winestore-online.com. This is where I purchased it. Let's take a look at the back label of this bottle. Now, here's the back label of the bottle, the Terre Chardonnay. I'm going to read what little is there, because mostly just the government warnings and just the import. It says Terre Chardonnay, imported by Terre Cellars, Madera, California, as I mentioned earlier, bottled by Terre Cellars, and that's in Acampo, California. There is 12.5% alcohol by volume in this 750 milliliter bottle. It is a product of Australia, and it is an Australia Chardonnay. So this should be very, very interesting to try this out. So we're going to go ahead and open the bottle, and while we're opening it up and it's breathing and all that sort of thing, we'll look at a little bit of what this wine is all about, what little I found, actually. Now, also on the show tonight, And I forgot to mention the rundown earlier. But tonight we're going to, of course, toast birthdays. We're going to toast a couple of anniversaries. One anniversary in particular that is special for my family and for my son. And we're going to look at a couple of the clips. You know, last week I showed a couple of clips from a film I made back in the 70s in honor of my friend Dana Dunham's birthday, and called Attack of the Bubble Creatures, a little 8mm film that we made back when we were kids. And I showed a couple of clips from it. Well, we're going to see, as long as nothing crashes here tonight, we're going to I'm going to show you, I'm going to play for you the final two clips, an exciting conclusion including the big battle scene. So we'll take a look at that. Anyway, here's the Chardonnay. This is the Terre Chardonnay. I'm going to use I had a lot of trouble with this last week because the cork did not want to come on. We're going to try it again this week, and I think it's going to come out just a little bit. Well, maybe not. Boy, once again, we're having trouble with it. So maybe it's this corkscrew. Maybe the corkscrew has reached its end of life, so to speak. We're going to try it with my manual corkscrew, and we'll get that in the bottle. Let me get this started here, and I'll do it down here because it's a little bit more comfortable and a little bit safer for me to do it down here. All right, so we're going to go through the decorking. Oh, look at that! It's coming out nice and easy. There you go. We'll get this corkscrew out of here. Well, I think maybe that's end of life for the mechanical corkscrew. So, such as it is, everything has an end of life, right? All right, and to pour it, I have my trusty Veneto aerator from the Veneto Wine Lover set. And I'm going to pour it into, of course, my Galway genuine crystal glass, imported from Ireland, Irish crystal glass. And this was given to me by my employers at buy2wayradios.com. We're going to go ahead and pour some of this wine in here, just a little bit. We're going to take a look at it and see what it's all about. Now, I have my I'm wearing some contacts tonight, so you don't see me in my usual eyeglasses on. I'm wearing contacts because earlier this week I was shooting video for Buy2Way Radios and on my day job, and I had I put the contacts in for that, and then of course with the contacts in I can't see a darn thing. There's irony for you. Okay, so we have this wine in the glass. Let's give it a good little bit of a whiff. A little bit of pear, I want to say, and a little citrus, but a slight hint, little citrusy, maybe a little grapefruit, slight hint of pineapple, maybe a little apple in there. Okay, we're going to let that breathe for a minute, and while it's breathing, let's learn a little bit more about this wine. Now, I did do some searching around, and I'm going to have to put my glasses in for my reading glasses in for this. Where did I find it? I hunted around a little bit, and I found the Chardonnay around on the internet from anywhere from between $5.99 and $11.99, and Vivino had it listed on they have it listed on their website for $11.99 a bottle, which it seems a bit much for me because everywhere else I checked, it was around the $5 mark. And I think the cheapest that I found it, the least expensive that I found it was $4.99. And I'm trying to go back to the website that I saw it at. I don't see it there now, but I did see it earlier listed for $4.99. I'll tell you what I paid for it. I paid for this wine, I have my receipt from Winestore. I paid approximately, or exactly, Terre Chardonnay, $5.49 for this bottle of Terre Chardonnay, and that was plus tax. And we'll see if it's a good deal. Let's see if we got a good deal out of it. So that's pretty much all I've got on this. It's supposed to pair with some food. Now, Chardonnay is supposed to pair with some things like pork, chicken. I don't eat pork myself, but some creamy chicken dinners. And it just so happens that my wife made a kind of a creamy chicken dish earlier this week, and these are the leftovers, so I'm going to try it with that and see how it goes. Also, I have it with some of the Trader Joe's creamy Gouda that I like so much, which it might go okay with, actually. Some cheddar cheese. It looks like I have some Parmesan and some crackers, and then a little bit of my wife's wonderful cheesecake, which she made herself. Now, the thing is about Chardonnay, it can, sometimes they make a pretty decent dessert wine if they're okay. I mean, a dry dessert wine. I'm not up for sweet wines, but the Chardonnay should be it could be buttery, it could be on the dry side, but it may be okay with the cheesecake. We're going to find out in just a few minutes. So let's give it a little bit of a taste. And let me see if there's anything else going on in the chat first before I do that. And looks like it's kind of quiet on Facebook, Twitch, nothing going on YouTube. So let's go back to the wine. We'll give it a taste here. Let me. Very interesting. A little bit buttery, not a whole lot. But right off the bat, I tasted two things. Right off the bat. I'm going to have another taste here in a moment. There was tasted like some green apple, and it tasted like grapefruit, which is very interesting. Let me see if I can pick up, because I got a note of some pear or something in there. Ooh. Yeah. Not it maybe a little hint of vanilla in there, but mostly grapefruit and apple, and maybe just a hint of apricot. It's kind of medium. Now, some Chardonnays they say are kind of bold. I don't find this bold at all. I find this somewhat light. It is kind of a medium. It's not really super dry. There's a hint of sweetness to it, and I think maybe that's because of the grapefruit flavor in there a little bit. But it is mostly it's kind of medium. And you know what? My glass is empty. I've got to fill it up again. Let's fill it up. So it's not tart. I mean, I wouldn't say it's tart. It's very buttery. It's actually very buttery. It's not very acidic. A hint of acidity, but it's kind of medium on that. But I find it actually pretty easy to drink. I'm surprised because I'm not a huge fan of white wines, although I do like white Zinfandels sometimes. And my wife, my lovely wife Chi, she does like a white Zin, and she likes occasionally. She doesn't drink a whole lot of wine, but when she does, she likes a white Zin or a white cab or a Cabernet Blanc. But she might like this. And my daughter Tia might like this also, because my daughter Tia, who is of drinking age, of course, she does not like red wines too much because she doesn't like the cherry flavor. She doesn't like the red berry flavors in there. It's not her thing. She thinks it tastes too much like medicine, like some of the medicines, the cherry flavored medicines that they would serve the kids, like the kids' cough medicines and things like that. She thinks that it tastes too much like that. But I gave her a wine to drink a few nights ago, a little bit to try, and she actually rather liked it. And I think that she would really like this because, especially with the green apple and the pineapple. Now, I'm going to tell you something about that mixture. That's a very interesting mix, and I'll tell you why. With Chardonnays and with some of these white wines, particularly Chardonnays, they'll tend to taste more citrusy when they're younger. When these wines are young, they'll have a more citrusy taste. But as they age, as they mature and get older, they will tend to have a pineapple kind of taste. So this one tells me that this one's probably been in the bottle for a little while. This one tastes like it's matured somewhat. It does not really have a citrusy taste so much. I mean, I wouldn't really classify the green apple as really citrusy, although I guess some people would. I think it's milder. I think a green apple, even though it's milder than a regular apple, green apples are more tart as a general rule. I know because I've eaten a lot of green apples in my day when I was a kid. More tart, but this isn't really tart. It just has the kind of the taste of the green apple, but without the tartness, which is very interesting. But it does have more of a pineapple taste to it, and like I said before, it is rather buttery, and Chardonnays can be really buttery. And this one is very, very. I'd say it is smoother than I would have expected. It is, and the finish, it has a light finish, but it's a nice one. It's a nice one. It goes down. It doesn't linger too long. For a white wine, the white wines I don't really like for them to linger too long. Anyway, some of them can be kind of harsh for me because I just don't like the whites too much. But this one I can drink. This This is not bad. Not bad at all, especially for the price. $5.49 a bottle. Is that what I said it was? That's not. That's okay. That's okay. I could drink this. So before we get too much farther into it, let me check the chat again. See who's in the chat. And chat's pretty quiet tonight, unless there's something. Now the chat that I've got going on my stream page. Is maybe a little bit different, so I may not be getting everyone's comments. So if you are here, if you're watching right now on Facebook, please drop a comment in there. Let me know. Drop a comment in there. I need to make sure I see these because Facebook has not been kind to me since they've switched over this newer live stream version, and sometimes I just don't see some of these things, and they have a tough time scrolling up as well. So let me know. Twitch, what's going on at Twitch? Kind of quiet on Twitch tonight. Interesting. Although I have found that in Twitch, most of the folks on Twitch, they tend to get on later anyway. I will find that a lot of Twitch folks will drop in after 11 o'clock and towards midnight. And after midnight, that seems to be when Twitch really gets going there on a lot of the channels, and people late night checking in. So, and we did used to do this at 11 p.m. Eastern time. A lot of people were saying that's too late for them. So I dropped it down to 10. And the reason I went with 11 is because I found that 10 was kind of early. People were not participating as much in the chat at 10 as they were at 11. So I don't know what to do, folks. We're 10 or 11. Because 11 o'clock is really when we want to kind of wrap things up, or 11:30 or so. And it seems like some things just start getting going here in these chats around the time that I want to end the show at around 11:30 or so. But I promised my wife that I would keep it short, so we will go ahead and do that. And I'm going off on a tangent. Let's go ahead and pair this wine with some of this food. Now, I would expect this. Now, a Chardonnay like this, kind of a buttery Chardonnay like this, it would go good with some fish. I think it would go good with maybe a baked fish, a grilled fish, or maybe fish and chips. Might be okay with fish and chips, although that can get kind of oily. This might work okay with that. Chicken, white pastas. If you have a white pasta like say like a fettuccine, we had fettuccine a while back in last week, I think, this past week, and this probably would have gone great with that fettuccine. There are mostly this would be chicken with cream sauces and pastas with creamy sauces. I think that's what would pair best with this. That's just my opinion, but I think that's what, and in my past experiences, that's worked well for me personally. Let's try it with this chicken and see how it works with chicken. I'll pour a little bit more of this and see how it goes with this chicken, because this chicken's in a cream sauce. This is a chicken, forgotten what my wife called it. It was good though. It wasn't a cream sauce with carrots and such. Hey, I like that. I like that. It works pretty well. It works well with the chicken. I might just sit here and eat this whole thing. I don't have a whole lot of it here, but it actually works pretty well. I like this. I'm surprised. I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting for $5 and for a wine that had no vintage on the label, I wasn't expecting much from this wine. I'll be honest with you. But the chicken's good. My wife made this delicious chicken. We'll try it with the wine again. It's not bad. Oh yeah. That complements the chicken very well. And it brings out the flavor of this creamy chicken sauce my wife made. A wonderful combination. I should get some more of this the next time she serves this chicken. Have her and Tia try this. I bet they would both like this very, very much, paired with this chicken with this La Terre. I'm going to make a note of that, and I like this. I like this pairing very, very much. And it's been a little while since I've said that, but that's a winner. That is definitely a winner. So let's go ahead and try it. Let's go ahead and try it with the creamy Gouda, the Trader Joe's creamy Gouda, which we have not had a miss on yet. Gouda cheese, I think it's kind of a good neutral cheese to pair with a lot of wines. Reds in particular. I don't know about whites. We're going to find out. Cheese is good as always. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, I could do that. I would say I would choose maybe a Zin, or I choose a Pinot Noir, or maybe something else with the cheese first. But I'd say if this was what I had open to drink, I'd drink it with it. It's okay. It's not bad. Let's try it with a cheddar. Now, white wines will tend to go better with, as I said before, white meats and fishes and things like that. It'll work with some cheese, but you need something like a brie, or I don't know, maybe a blue cheese or something like that. Probably goes better with this. I think I would try it more. I would try this first with a brie. It would probably work better with a brie, and I love cheeses. I'm not even going to really try it with Parmesan, because I might just, well, what the heck. It's here. And my wife cut them up for me. So, that'll make it much fun. I don't know if it's really a Parmesan kind of wine. I'd say go with a brie or something first, or a blue cheese or something if you prefer those. I would say do that first. I think that's better. Cheesecake, we have let me have a little cracker to clear the palate with. A little cracker. A little more cracker. Crackers are okay. I have a little water to go with that. Okay, the water helps. Let's clear the palate a bit. And I tell you what, let's try it with the cheesecake. We'll try it with the dessert. This has a Oreo cookie crust, I think, to it. And it's sort of it looks like a raspberry cheesecake of some sort. Which is really good, by the way. Very good. Rich. Interesting. Yeah, if you're serving a nice cheesecake like this for dessert, and you're having this wine with the dinner, it'd probably be okay with it. It'd probably be all right. All right, so we'll give final tasting notes at the end of the show, but for now, let's go on with the show. Let's continue on and see what else we've got going on here. You know what? It is time to learn about the Chardonnay grape. Tonight, we're going to learn a little bit about the Chardonnay grape. I have some things prepared for you. I will be reading some of this off Wikipedia, free encyclopedia, and this is my, of course, it's available on Creative Commons, and basically attribution, full attribution. So I'm giving full attribution to Wikipedia, although I might be reading a few parts of it, but a lot of it's going to be paraphrased by me, and some of it's going to actually be, a lot of it's going to be my own words. So I'm just giving Wikipedia some attribution anyway, just because that's just the right thing to do, isn't it? So let's learn a little bit about the Chardonnay grape. Now, Chardonnay is it's a French, obviously. Sounds French, doesn't it? It is a green-skinned variety grape. And pull up my stuff here. The name came from France. It is also known, it's known by a lot of different names. It's also known as Bounois. Is that pronounced correctly? Bounois, I guess. I don't know. Gamay Blanc and Melon Blanc. It's known by a lot of other names too. I'm not going to read through all of those. Albane, I think, is another one that it's known by. And of course, as I mentioned a few moments ago, its origin is in the Burgundy region of France. Really more from the name, of course, came from Chardonnay in France. This is a green-skimmed grape variety used in the production of white wine. The variety originated in the Burgundy wine region of eastern France, but is now grown wherever wine is produced, from England to New Zealand. We'll get to that in a few minutes. For new and developing wine regions, growing Chardonnay is seen as a rite of passage and an easy entry into the international wine market. So the color, as I mentioned before, it's kind of these are light green colored berries producing white wines. And the taste of the wines generally will have notes of apple, pear, citrus, peach, or melon with high acidity. Now, it's an interesting thing to note that I did not taste some of those flavors in this wine, and it'll vary. It'll vary between the warm regions, where if it's grown in warmer regions, or in cooler regions. And as I understand it, in the cool regions, you're going to have more high acidic wines, and in the kind of in the medium climates and warmer climates, you're going to have taste that sort of tastes more of a honey or a tropical fruit flavor. And so that's an interesting thing to note. Getting back to the wine notes, and let me get back to the wine notes here. There's a little confusion. It's often confused with Pinot Blanc. This wine is confused with Pinot Blanc, but it is its own. It is its own grape variety. The Chardonnay wine, Chardonnay grape produces medium to light-bodied wines, which is what I experienced here. This was kind of a lighter body wine, I'd say. It's not very heavy. It's not very heavy at all, in my opinion. At least the one I'm drinking right now. The Chardonnay grape is used to make a number of different wines, but primarily it's used to make Chablis. I haven't heard that word in a while. It's been a long time since I've had a Chablis, and that's interesting. It's used to make Chablis, white Burgundy, and Champagne. A lot of Champagnes are made with the Chardonnay grape. White Burgundies are often made with Chardonnay grapes, but the Chablis, it's well documented, well known that it's actually, Chardonnay is actually an important component of making sparkling wines around the world, including Champagne and according to Wikipedia, a Franciacorta in Italy. And some of the things about the flavors, and getting back to the flavors of the Chardonnay grape. The grape itself is neutral, and with many of the flavors commonly associated with the wine being derived from such influences as terroir and oak. It is vinified in many different styles, from the lean, crispy mineral wines of Chablis, France, to New World wines with oak and tropical fruit flavors. Now, in Chardonnay wine tends to be medium to light bodied, as I mentioned before, with a noticeable acidity and flavors of green plum, apple, and pear. Now, this is interesting because I didn't taste green plum. I tasted green apple, but no green plum. And I really didn't. I kind of smell a little bit like pear at first, but then when I tasted it, I didn't really get a lot of pear out of the taste. Now, in some warmer locations, the flavors become more citrusy, peach and melon, while in very, very warm locations, they can be more fig and tropical fruit notes, such as banana and mango. Now, I didn't taste a banana or mango or any fig, anything like that. So that's not. Apparently, it wasn't from such a warm region. Australia is supposed to be an Australian wine. We'll see. Let's see. Wines that have gone through malolactic fermentation tend to have softer acidity and fruit flavors with buttery mouthfeel and hazelnut notes. Didn't taste any hazelnut in there, but I tell you what, it's definitely quite buttery to me. Actually, very buttery. More buttery than I would have expected. The grapes are generally grown in France, in Canada, Australia. It says Australia. My typo there. Sorry about that, folks. Like I said, I have a context when I was typing this. New Zealand, Italy, South Africa, the U.S., and many other countries around the world. In fact, it is one of the most popular grapes for white wines around the world. Very, very popular. It is one of the most widely planted grape varieties, with 210,000 hectares or 520,000 acres worldwide, second only to Arran among white wine grapes, and fifth among all white wine grapes. Good stuff. Good stuff. Chardonnay in the U.S. Chardonnay is grown in California, Oregon, Texas, Virginia, and many other states. You know what? I have a complete list of states here somewhere. Let's see if I can find them. It's grown in New York State. It's grown in California, of course, in New York State. It's grown in Washington State, and of course Oregon, as I mentioned before. Let's see, where else? I had a few other places here. Then, of course, it's grown in Australia, New Zealand. It's grown in Italy, as well, South Africa. I'm amazed at how many grapes are actually grown in South Africa, different grapes. A lot of winemaking. I didn't really expect that, but it is a very, very popular grape. So that is pretty much the Chardonnay grape. That is the Chardonnay grape. That was my phone going off for some reason. I didn't turn it off. That is the Chardonnay grape, and I tell you, I tasted more green apple and the pineapple in there, which I thought was interesting. Ooh. And I'll have a little bit more of that. It's actually starting to taste better, even so, and buttery, very buttery. And I was just a little surprised. I wasn't expecting that much from this wine, but I think it's actually pretty good. So, having said that, that is the Chardonnay grape. Once again, let's check back in with the chat, see who is joining us in the chat. I'm going to put on my reading glasses here because I can't see a darn thing without them. And my sister Penny's in the chat. Penny's great to see you. I'm glad you're here. Join in. And Penny says, champagne. And she says, green plum. And I tell you what, I did not taste any green plum in this wine, but I did taste green apple, definitely. Stephanie's joined us. Great to see you, Stephanie. I'm glad you're here. Tell me how you're doing. Tell me what you're drinking or what you would like to be drinking or what would you like to see me drinking. And Stephanie says, hi, guys. Glad to... I took my glasses here. There we go. Hi, guys. Glad to be here. Well, I'm glad you're here, Stephanie. I'm really glad to see you. Stick around and tell me what you're doing. We're going to have a lot more fun here tonight. I don't know if you caught the earlier little tutorial on Chardonnay grapes, but you can go back and watch it later. But we have a lot more coming up. We have a lot more interesting stuff coming up. Please stick around. There's some things you might find pretty amusing. Let's see what's going on. Nothing going on YouTube. And CM Cinder is there, and it says, boy, I need these glasses. How fruity is the wine? CM Cinder, very fruity. Well, it's kind of fruity. If you like green apple and if you like grapefruit, I think you'll like this wine. I think you'll really, really like it. So let's go into the birthdays because I think a lot of people are waiting for birthdays and anniversaries. Got a special anniversary for a podcaster, a fellow podcaster here that I think we should toast tonight. And let me pull all that information up. First of all, for birthdays, I want to give a couple of, and here's a birthday for a fellow podcaster and one who's been doing it for a long time. And Stephanie, you know who I'm talking about. He had his birthday on Thursday, and I'm going to toast him right now. I did not tell him that I was going to toast him. You can if you want. That's fine. But I want to give a toast to my good friend Todd Cochran. Todd Cochran, who is the CEO of Raw Voice and Blueberry.com, the tech podcast network, and he does the podcasts, the People's Choice Podcast Awards every year. He's been podcasting for about 15 years, almost since podcasting began, over 15 years now. But Todd had his birthday on Thursday, and that would be the 4th, I believe. So Todd, I'm not going to give his age out, but Todd and I have been longtime friends, and I met him when I first started podcasting back in 2006, because I've been, of course, podcasting in about 14 years myself, and was a member of the Tech Podcast Network, and still have a show up there every once in a while. But Todd's a cool guy, and he's, he and I go back there to the early days. And I want to say to Todd, and it's been my pleasure to actually get to hang out with him at a couple of the Podfests, and every time I get a chance to meet up, he's a lot of fun to be around. I still owe you some beers, Todd. I still owe you some beers. Look, I want to tell you something about Todd for a moment. I think I mentioned this before, but my son Tommy, someone else I'm going to toast here shortly. because he has an anniversary coming up related to podcasting. Hint, hint. Todd was very instrumental in helping my son Tommy out. When Tommy was in high school and he was doing his final report, that, for his final grade to graduate high school, he did his final report on podcasting. And to do that, he interviewed Todd on his show. Tommy does a show called Cube Command. And he interviewed Todd on his show and talked about the history of podcasting, the true history of podcasting, not the history of podcasting that you read about, say, like in the New York Times or in some of these, a lot of the mainstream media stuff, a lot of the media that's out there, but the real true story of podcasting, because he was there. He was there. He experienced it firsthand, and he knows it. He grew up with it. A lot of people say, that have just discovered podcasting. Podcasting started in 2010. Podcasting started in 2015 or whatever. And that's not true at all. So he interviewed Todd and got the scoop, the true history of podcasting. And then Tommy put together his paper and the podcast, did a podcast and presented it to the judges on a CD version of the podcast with his paper. And it just blew them away. It just blew these people away. And, of course, he not only graduated with flying colors, he was also awarded a presidential scholarship to which he used to go to CPCC with. And then, of course, this fall he's going to be attending Appalachian State in Boone. So Todd, I still owe him some beers. He's been very, very helpful through the years. And really did a great job in helping Tommy to secure that. And I want to say thank you, Todd. Here's a toast to you. Happy, happy birthday. And I want to toast you again, just because I can, and because you earned it, more than earned it. Thanks for being a good friend. Thanks for being a mentor to my son. Thanks for being there for all of the independent podcasters. But happy birthday to you, and may you have many, many, many more. Here's to my good friend Todd. We have a couple more birthdays coming up. Another birthday to an old friend, Mike Metters. Mike, whose birthday was also Thursday. And Mike and I go way back, as you know, that I work for WOFL, and a lot of my friends from WOFL show up in here from time to time. WOFL alumni, we call each other. And we worked there. This is WOFL, this is the Fox affiliate in Orlando. Worked there for 12 years before I went on to WRBW, which was... I think at the time it was the Paramount affiliate, and then it became a UPN affiliate or something, and then I worked there for a couple of years, and then the company that owned WFL bought WRBW, and they were all together. Very interesting how TV and radio works. But Mike and I worked together for many, many years, and Mike, I want to say happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. It's from my good friend Mike Metters. And I also want to give a birthday shout out to an upcoming birthday. Let's see, this is coming up on Tuesday. This is for my good friend Parrish Reinl. Parrish Reinl and I go back to, he's been in IT for a long time. And we go back to our days in IT working for a company called OnForce. We were contractors. We were independent contractors. We did some work with OnForce, and that's how I met him. But he also went on to when I started the Forcefield podcast and the Forcefield forums, which for a while it was a pretty popular forum place for a lot of those guys. He was one of the admins on our forum, and I've interviewed him on the Forcefield a few times, and how he started his computer business and that sort of thing. Parrish is really well. He's well educated and very. I think he's a real professional but he's very well versed in IT, well accomplished, I guess. I don't want to use the word versed, but accomplished. He's much accomplished in IT, and he has actually done some work. He's also done some contract work for me before, when I had a customer that in his area that needed some work done. A very professional person, a really nice guy. Parrish, here's to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. And I'll toast you again, too, because, Parrish, it's been a while since we've actually talked, but we're friends on Facebook, and we've worked together in the past, and I've always been impressed with your work and your quality of work and your work ethic. Here's to you, Parrish. Happy birthday. Ooh. This wine's getting better and better as we go along. Let's see. Stephanie says, I've got to put my glasses on again. Sorry, Stephanie. Stephanie says, have you tried Fit Wine? And she says, this wine is low on sugar and apparently great for keto. Curious what you think. I have actually, I've actually not tried it. Can you send me a link, Stephanie? Can you send me a link to that, where maybe I can get some of this? I could try it out. Now, I have tried some organic wines, and I do like the organic wines. I have a belief that organic wine is generally healthier for you anyway, for a number of reasons, because they don't, with the organic wines and the ones that are naturally fermented into wine, they go through the natural winemaking process, and they don't add all of these extra sulfites to them and things like that, which, and there's particularly in the red wines, that's one of the things that can cause headaches. Some people don't like red wine because it gives them headaches later, and that's one of the causes of that, which is all the added sulfites in there. But organic wines, and of course the high alcohol content, and the added sulfites actually add to the organic content in the wine. It actually makes it, organic. Wine must be kicking in. The added sulfites raise the alcoholic content of the wine, is what I was trying to say. It raises the alcoholic content artificially somewhat, more than really what it would normally be if it was organically produced. And the higher alcohol content, combined with whatever the sulfites are in the wine, kind of do that headache bit that some people don't like. So some people stay away from the whites as opposed to the reds, because in the whites they don't generally do that as much as with the reds. However, if you choose the organic wines, the organic reds, you'll find that you probably have less of a headache problem because of there are fewer sulfites involved in that, and mainly because the alcohol content is going to be a little bit lower. So that's going to definitely help you. But Stephanie, send me a link. Okay, you got a link there. She left me a link, and I'll check that out. Let me see. You go to that link and see what we've got here for Fit Wines. Haven't Live Your Fit California wine. Okay, I will definitely bookmark this. I'm going to check this after the show, and we'll try it out. We'll try it out and see how that works. That's a good thing. Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Tommy's in the chat, and he says, happy birthday, Todd Cochran. And he says it again, happy birthday, Todd Cochran. Stephanie, I'm going to check that chat out. I'm just going to the link out after the show chat. Maybe I have had a little bit much of this. I'm already down halfway into the bottle. We haven't gotten through all of the anniversaries yet. I have finished the birthdays, but let's get to the anniversaries. There is a very important anniversary, and I'm glad you're here, Tommy, because this anniversary is about you. I want to give an anniversary toast to my son, Tommy Savoya. For those of you who know, he is, and I mentioned it earlier, he is a podcaster in his own right. Tommy is celebrating today, June 6th, 2020. He is celebrating his 10th anniversary as a podcaster. Now, Tommy started podcasting when he was 10 years old, and he did this with his sister, Tia. His sister was 12 at the time, and we did a show called The Tia and Tommy Show. And we only did a few episodes of it, 4 or 5 episodes, but Tia, she really didn't get too much into podcasting. She's really more the artistics type, and I have an example of her artwork coming up in here in a little bit. But Tommy, he took that show and the microphone and ran with it, and he hasn't put it down since. But he's gone on to do some other shows like Nintendo Teens and Smash Talk, and of course the current one he does, Cube Command, and he does a show with me, the Free Stuff Show, when we get around. It's one of the ones we just kind of do for fun whenever we get around to doing it. But he's been podcasting for 10 years now, and he started the first episode of the Tea and Tommy Show went live on June 6, 2010. So Tommy, here's to you. Here's to you, 10 years as a podcaster. Happy anniversary. And I'll toast you again just because I can, because you know what? I kind of like this wine. I wasn't expecting that. I'm not a white wine fan, but I like that. So here's to you, Tommy. Happy anniversary. And look, if you know of any other anniversaries, birthdays, Stephanie, you have one coming up, anniversary of some sort or birthday or anything like that, let me know. I'll be happy to toast it along as well. So I guess that does it for our anniversaries and birthdays at the moment. Let's go on to the... what have I got here coming up first? I'm checking my notes, my show notes. Now, we all know this is a stream of consciousness kind of show. I don't rehearse anything for this show. This is live. It's all live. Any mistakes are online live. But this is a stream of consciousness kind of show, and I'll go off on tangents sometimes. But that's what this is. It's about you and me getting together, just having a chat, just talking and doing our thing. This show is not about me, by the way. This is about us. And it is a little bit about the wine. But so step in the chat. Tell me how you're doing. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what's on your mind. And no politics or religion. We don't do that here. This is a show about bringing people together. So it's just about and that's what wine does. With all the troubles in the world, with all the strife, there's one thing that we can all agree on, and that is wine. And wine can bring people together. And we talk about that. And we talk about all the good things in life. And, just do things that bring people together. Everyone together. Okay? I'm not getting on a soapbox or anything here, but I'm talking about everyone together. No matter where you're from, who you are. Bring everyone together. Wine can do that. It is a truly unifying thing. Wine is. It really is. So, let me check the other chats here for just a moment. Let's see what's going on Twitch. Anything picked up on Twitch? CM Sender says, anniversary toast? Wow, Tommy, I didn't know you were married. It's not that kind of anniversary, CM Sender. I think you know that. And anything going on YouTube? No, nothing going on YouTube. Very funny, though. So, let's see what we've got here coming up. We got the National Days. Let's do the National Days. And we did learn about the grapes, so I got that out of the way. I did forget about the national grapes last week. And we're going to pick that up again. And that we're going to do that in the future. We're going to have another wine similar to what we tried last week with that grape. And we'll do that grape next week. Let's take a look at the National Days coming up. And this is courtesy of my good friend Marlo Anderson from the nationaldaycalendar.com. And let me get over to that. Let's see what we have here. June 6th, right? Today is June 6th. Okay, here's another anniversary that I think we should celebrate. Because, if it wasn't for the brave men and women who fought for our freedoms in World War II, well, we might not all be here as we are now. This is for D-Day. The D-Day was June 6th, and that was a rough day for many people. Many people did not survive that day. Many of our brave men and women in the armed forces and the Allies did not survive that day. But D-Day, here's to our brave men and women our brave soldiers who fought in World War II on D-Day. I don't want to spend too much time on some of these because we are kind of running short on time. National Eyewear Day. Okay, as you can see, what I've been doing is back and forth, been putting on my reading glasses. I'm going to put them on again for National Eyewear Day. This is for National Eyewear Day. I do wear eyewear because I am very nearsighted. And of course, I'm wearing contacts tonight, but when I got my contacts in, I can't see a darn thing, so I have to wear these reading glasses when I want to read something up close. Here's to National Eyewear Day. I'll drink to that because I tell you what, if it wasn't for eyewear, I wouldn't, I don't think be able to function much at all. I'd be pretty much blind. National Higher Education Day. My son is going off to college. To some of those who are already in college and have been to college, here's to National Higher Education Day. I'm just taking small sips. National Gardening Exercise Day. You know what? Do you garden? Do you garden, or do you do it for exercise? Some people do it as a hobby. Some people do it for exercise. I do it primarily for exercise. My son and I were out there mowing the lawn and clearing out some shrubbery last week. My wife was out there doing some gardening early last week. It's good exercise out in the sun and everything like that. Helps promote vitamin D. Helps prevent coronavirus, as I understand. I'm not a doctor. That's just what I've heard. But here's to National Gardening Exercise Day. We should all garden more. We should all exercise more, and you can get the best of both on Gardening Exercise Day. National Yo-Yo Day. Who had a yo-yo? I had a yo-yo when I was a kid. I had yo-yos. I didn't enter the yo-yo competition. There used to be an annual yo-yo competition. I don't know if it's still going on, but there used to be an annual yo-yo competition that would go around. And when I was a kid in school, I had a yo-yo. And would try the tricks. I learned a few of the tricks. I learned to walk the dog and climb the ladder and all that kind of stuff. I learned a few of those. I haven't done it in 40, 50 years, so that dates me, doesn't it? So I really don't know. I think the last time I tried to play with a yo-yo, I just kind of tangled it all up. So it's anyway, National Yo-Yo Day. So, what else we have here going on in the national days? We have National Drive-In Movie Day. I will drink to that. I love going to movies. I loved going to drive-in movies. Those were a lot of fun. And we used to pack a whole bunch of us and drive. Is there a statute of limitations on this? Oh yeah, I think so. So when we were in, I know a lot of people did this. Come on. We would pack the car. All the friends would go out on Saturday night, and we go to the movies when we want to go see a movie or double feature or something at the drive-in. And it really was more for the experience rather than for the movie most of the time. I mean, sometimes it was kind of for the movie, but most of the time it was just for the experience of just going out, hanging out. You bring blankets, and you put pack as many people in the car as you could, get it for like $2, and you put people in the trunk if you could, and get it for $2, sneak everybody in, and go park your car, listen, put up this big hefty metal speaker that the audio was horrible, but if there was nobody, you'd pick a spot where there was nobody next to you and grab a speaker from each end and hang it on the car door on each side, and then you can have kind of a pseudo stereo thing going. Not really stereo, but it was just fun to do. And then you get out the blankets, everybody get up on the hood of the car, on top of the car. That was back when cars were made, I'm dating myself again. Back then when cars were made solid enough where you could sit on the hood and on the roof and that sort of thing. And so we'd all get up there on the hood and the roof, and some people would sit in the car, and we'd watch the movies and just basically cut up. And we go to the concession stand, hang around there a little bit, and it was just a night out. Basically, is all it was. And I had been to one or two where I remember going there one time, and I brought a bottle of Leaf milk with me. and we had some wine there while we were watching the movies. And the thing is, one time we went there and the projection room was completely open. So it started. This was funny. This is a funny story. See, I told you we're getting off on tangents here. So one night we go there, and all my friends and I are packed in the car, and we're watching this movie, and it starts to rain. And I mean, this is in Florida, so it wasn't just a light rain; it was pouring rain. It just came down suddenly. It was pouring rain, and then you have to use the wipers to wipe, just run the wipers while we're watching the movie. And it was pretty miserable. So anyway. And we did. I think in that car, I don't think we had air conditioning in that car, so we'd roll up the windows and crack them down just a little bit. And the rain's coming in. So I told them in the middle of this, it's raining, I don't know, it's raining for about 20 minutes. So about 5 minutes in, I couldn't take this. So I said, look, I'm going to go to the concession stand and get some popcorn and stuff. And they said, okay, go ahead. So I go to the concession stand, and the projection booth is wide open. The door's wide open. And the guy's just sitting there with a projector. This was back in the days and everything's on film. And so I walked by there. I got my popcorn. I just walked past, and I just started talking to the projectionist, and I said, "Hey, can I hang out here for a few minutes?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." So I sat there, and I'm looking out the window. I'm nice and dry, and I'm looking out the window through the rain, watching the movie. And in the meantime, my buddies are in the car, and they're just miserable because it's raining all around the car and everything like that. And about I don't know, about 10 or 15 minutes later, they're starting to say, "What happened to him? Where's Rick? Where'd he go?" So one of the other guys gets out of the car and comes back here to start looking for me, and he sees me in the projection booth, high and dry, just watching through one of the windows. So he says, "Hey, I'm going to go ahead and watch this too." So he comes in there and starts. At first, he was a little mad, but then he saw, this makes sense. So he comes in and starts watching the movie with me. We're watching through the hole in the window. And then a few minutes later, a couple more guys come through looking for us, and they sit down. "Hey, you guys are in here watching." So we're all in there watching this thing in the projection room, and nobody's watching the car basically. But and then the rain went out, let up, and then we went back out. But it was one of those more memorable times watching a drive-in movie. Anyway, here's to National Drive-In Movie Day. I've got a question, and this was brought up by my kids, I think, a few weeks ago. We were talking about drive-in movies, and I was saying, I wonder if one of the side effects of this whole coronavirus thing, with social distancing and all that stuff, people going back to the movie theaters, is it possible? Is there a chance that at some point this might actually spark a resurgence or a revival of the drive-in movie? And the reason I say this is because you're talking about a family in a car. Families in a car are going to drive everywhere, but you need that social distancing, right? So you've got the families in there that are always together anyway. You don't want to take them to the theater where everybody else is in the same room, breathing the same air for a couple of hours, right? So you go in your own cars and you park your cars and you're out in the open air and that sort of thing. You're watching a movie. Is it possible that this coronavirus pandemic could actually spark a resurgence in the outdoor drive-in movie theater? You heard this first here on Drink with Rick on the Saturday Night live stream. I don't know, but it could happen. It could happen. You never know. Let's check the chat here one more time. And nothing too much going on. I'm having to scroll down the chat a little bit. Oh, there we go. Let's see. We've got anything going on? Nothing going on YouTube. Very quiet on YouTube. It's notoriously quiet. Things are kind of quiet tonight. Maybe everyone's out at the drive-in. Right. The drive-ins have been basically dead for years, but I think there might be possible. I think we have one nearby that's still around, but I think there might be a resurgence of that. You just never know. Okay, getting back to, let's finish up the where is that thing? What did I do with it? I lost it. Here we go, National Day Calendar. Let's finish that up. It's today is also National Applesauce Cake Day. I've never heard of applesauce cake. Apple pie, applesauce cake, I don't know anything about. National Black Bear Day is the first Saturday in June. I prefer to keep my distance from black bears, thank you. National Bubbly Day, first Saturday in June. Okay, I'll drink to that. National Bubbly Day. Nothing wrong with a little bubbly, right? I'll drink to that. And it's National Prairie Day. That's the first Saturday in June. We need our prairies, don't we? And National Trails Day, first Saturday in June. National Trails Day. Done some well, not trail blazing, but I've done some trail walking. I've done some trucking across the country before. Fun stuff, good stuff. National Trails Day. June 7th is National Boone Day, and I don't know if they're talking about Daniel Boone. They might be. Daniel Boone? My son's going to be attending college in the city of Boone, North Carolina. Here's the National Boone Day. National Chocolate Ice Cream Day. Say no more. I'll drink to that. National VCR Day. Who didn't have a VCR? And then, of course, they all gave away eventually to DVDs and then Blu-ray. And now everybody's doing everything online. I still have a VCR. Right across from the studio here, I have a VCR. I've used it to transfer some old VCR films and things that I did back in the day. National Oklahoma Day. I'll drink to that. National Oklahoma is one of the great 50 states of our union. And National Cancer Survivors Day is the first Sunday in June. I will definitely drink to that. Here's to all the cancer survivors. I don't want to go into a long diatribe about that. Cancer's hit too close to home to me too many times. Here's to National Cancer Survivors Day. I think we all know someone who has or who has had cancer or who has passed away from cancer. 3 of my family members have passed away from cancer. So yes, it does hit home for me. There is one more thing. June 8th is National Best Friends Day, by the way. But there is one more that I caught. Where is it? June. I think it's coming up here. Oh, I don't see it listed here. But I understand that next Tuesday is Donald Duck Day. Donald was always one of my favorites. I mean, I like Mickey too, but Donald was always one of my favorites. Okay, I guess that does it for the national days now. Now, here's what we're going to do. Any comments in the chat? Let's see. Stephanie says, I think I might go to the drive-thru. Drive-thrus have always been popular, Stephanie, but you know what? I think it's going to become more of a norm now. What do you think? Do you think it might become more of a norm now that we'll see more general retailers going through drive-thrus? They have drive-thrus for, of course, the fast food restaurants have had drive-thrus for many years, but in fact, I think restaurants pretty much invented the drive-thru. But, more recently, in the last 10 years or so, you've seen companies like CVS Pharmacy, the pharmacies having their drive-thrus. And I've seen drive-thru cleaners. Our groomer, our pet groomer for our dog Cosmo. By the way, I've got a picture of Cosmo right here. There's our dog Cosmo. That's Tommy's dog, by the way. Cosmo, who doesn't look like that right now. He looks a lot shaggier because we've all been sequestered in our homes for the last 3 months. But our dog groomer has done a drive-through dog grooming, where basically you drive through to the window, pass your dog through the window. If you can, I'm not sure how they do it with big dogs, but with the smaller dogs, you can pass them through the window, and then they groom, and then you come around a few hours later and they come back and they drop the dog off through the drive-through window, from what I understand, from what one of my neighbors have been telling us. We're going to try that again here shortly because it's time for him to have a haircut. His summer cuts due, so we're going to be doing that shortly. But drive-through dog grooming, that's interesting. Haven't heard that before. I think there are going to be a lot of industries trying drive-throughs for the first time. I think it's going to be a big deal. We're going to have drive-through, all kinds of things. I don't know, but people tend to get creative. They tend to get really creative, especially when we're in dire straits like this, and businesses are on the line and they're in desperation mode. The creativity really comes out and the innovation comes out. We'll probably see some very innovative things that are really going to change our lives here very shortly. I think some of that's already started to happen, but I think we're going to see a lot more of it. So as bad as this pandemic has been, I think that there are going to be some good things out of this in the long run that are actually going to benefit all of us. Keeping the faith. That's all I'm doing here, is keeping the faith. So, I don't know. You'd agree? You disagree? What have you seen that's very unusual that nothing has? It's definitely if you see anything unusual drive-through wise, definitely tell me about it. I'd like to know. I think we're going to see some very interesting things coming up in the future on this. All right. Speaking of drive-through and movies, as I promised, I have a couple of clips from a film that I made in middle school or high school. Actually, it didn't really finish it there, but I shot it then when I was a kid back in the early 70s, and I shot it with my good friends Dana Dunham and my good friends Dana Dunham and Chris Brownson and my brother, my brother Mike Savoya, who in some ways my son Tommy kind of reminds me of Mike a little bit. In some ways, in some good ways. But when we were kids, I had an 8mm camera, and not Super 8, didn't even have sound. I actually had a sound Super 8 camera, but this film was one that I made when I was a kid that I wanted to do as a spoof, a kind of a send-up of old sci-fi movies. And it was intended to be funny, so you can laugh if you want, it's fine, because it was intended to be funny. And it was a joke. It was basically a 2-joke movie. And it was called Attack of the Bubble Creatures. And in this film, I had my friends, these bubble creatures come down to invade Earth because they want the soap from Earth to survive. And they come down, they start invading Earth, and then these 3 guys are fighting off this invasion. I showed the first 2 clips last week. This was done with scratch-off animation. Now remember, I was a little kid, and this kind of thing was done 1 frame at a time, scratch-off animation. Some is kind of crude, but it was. This is a 14-minute film. I'm just showing little clips from it, but the film. I think I did about I did some calculations after the show last week, and it was really more like 7,000 frames of frame-by-frame animation that I did this scratch off on, which was a lot of work. So this was something that I just did for fun, and I didn't actually finish it at the time that we shot it. And then it sat around in my closet for a while and in my room for a long time. And a few years later, after I moved away from home, I saw all this film sitting there. I'm like, I never really finished this thing. Why don't I just splice it together and put it together and finish it? And that's what I did. So the result was this 14-minute film. Anyway, the first 2 clips I played last week, and the reason I did this was for my good friend Dana Dunham. His birthday was last week, and in honor of his birthday, I want to show these clips because I don't think he ever saw this film. I don't think he ever saw the finished version. I think he saw a few clips, but he never saw the finished version of the film. And I'm pretty sure my brother Mike never did, and Chris Brownson, I'm pretty sure he never did. And I don't think my sister even saw it. My sister Gina, who actually helped us out a little bit on the films, you'll see in the credits. But I've got a couple of clips here I want to play for you now. The conclusion, as I promised, there's a big battle scene that we did. I'm going to play the conclusion of Attack of the Bubble Creatures now. And like I said, this is something you want to have a glass of wine with, or have a few glasses of wine, or beer, or whatever it is that you want to drink, because I tell you what, you're going to need it. Here is Clip 3 from Attack of the Bubble Creatures. Now I'm going to narrate this. This is where we left off last time. He had a fight on the roof, and he's battling the creatures. Came down, and then this Chris, making his debut here. He said, "What are you doing on my roof?" And Dana says, "Help us." And then Chris is going to go up to see what's going on because he can't really believe his eyes. It's like, oh, well, this is really weird. And Mike, that's my brother Mike. He's fighting off a bubble creature, and Dana is fighting off a bubble creature. And this kind of leads up to the big battle scene. And they all go back to the back of the house. This is when we lived in Florida, actually. Back of the house, and Mike's being chased by a few, and Dana's being chased by a few. Chris is being chased by one there. Here comes Dana, and they all start fighting these things. They're just having this big battle with all of these creatures just floating around. Somebody get hit by a laser there. Mike has a bat, and he bats one out like a baseball. We used that same gag twice. Tom, Dana's hitting one. Mike got hit by a fireball. Dana's using a trash can lid as a shield, and he's getting laser beams from that, and he pops it. Mike knocks another one out of the park with his bat. Dana's over here fighting these things and dodging laser beams and gets hit with another fireball. And we use a little pyrotechnics here. One shoots into a piece of wood. Dana is throwing spears at him and popping them with the spears. Chris is over here popping one with a spear. Dana is popping a few more and dodging fireballs. And then Chris comes over here and he has an idea. Mike leads a whole bunch of these bubble creatures by Chris, and Chris is popping them one at a time with a knife. Just pops them all. And Mike says, "Thanks, Chris." And Chris says, "You know, Mike, for intelligent beings, they sure are dumb." And Mike says, "Will it work again?" And Chris says, "Let's try and see." So they're going to try this on a larger scale, trying to lead the bubble creatures to their doom. And that was that one clip with a big battle scene. I was waiting for the next scene to pop up, and it just faded out. Anyway, so that was clip 1. I've got another clip coming up. Scott MTHW says, "Hey Rick, what about some hard liquor?" Well, if you got any, you can send me. That would be great. We're drinking wine. To tell you what, you can drink anything you want. We're drinking Chardonnay tonight. This is a Terre Chardonnay that I purchased from Winestore in Blakeney, North Carolina. But you can drink whatever you want. This is Drink with Rick. This isn't drink wine with Rick or drink beer with Rick. It says Drink with Rick. So if you have whatever you have, you can drink it, as long as it's not going to hurt you. Okay, don't drink anything that's going to hurt you or somebody else. Okay, but if you have harder liquor, if you have tequila, if you have rum, if you have anything else that you have, some whiskey, whatever, it's fine. Hey, look, if you want to drink a soda, a Coke or a Pepsi, I don't recommend it because those are not good for you. But if you want to drink water, I'm not going to get calls from Coke or Pepsi for endorsements, trust me. So I can say whatever I want. But if you have water, drink water, that's fine. Don't worry. Gatorade, whatever it is. This is Drink with Rick. So drink what you got. If you got it, drink it, right? If you got it, drink it. So thanks for joining me in the chat also, Scott. I appreciate it. Stick around. We're going to show another clip of this. We're going to show another clip of the Attack of the Bubble Creatures. Trust me, if you have some hard liquor and you're watching this movie, it'll seem a lot better. I think you kind of need something some hard liquor to drink to watch this movie with. So I'm going to show you one more clip. By the way, that framing there with the theater, that was done by my daughter Tia. Of course, if you watch the last episode, that was a little plainer than that. But during the week, I asked Tia, hey, can you kind of fix it up like that? She created that, by the way. She created that because she is an artist. She does that. So I asked her, I said, can you add some things like curtains or something, make it look a little more like a theater rather than just kind of a frame with some chairs in front of it? And she said, sure. So she did that, and I think the result was amazing. It's just an amazing result. It's very impressive. I love it, and I'm going to keep it around and use it anytime I show any movie clips from any of my other films in the future. Yeah, and if you were wondering, yeah, I made a lot of short films in my day, especially when I was younger. I made a lot of short films, and some of them are better than this. Some of them are much better than this. But this is the one I showed because it was my friend Dana's birthday, and that was the one he was in. So I'll show another clip here shortly, and before we end the show. But I do want to talk about real quick before we get any farther into the show that June 1st was the start of hurricane season. It was the first day of hurricane season officially. Now we've had a couple of tropical storms come through, at least on the East Coast. We've had a couple of tropical storms come through before then, which was it kind of took a few people by surprise because hurricane season doesn't start till June 1st, and yet here are these hurricanes coming in the middle of May, and that was a little concerning. So a lot of people are thinking that maybe this could be a really bad hurricane season, and it could be. It's possible. It could be. We don't know. But you've got to keep the faith. Hopefully it won't be real bad. But I tell you what, it's good to be prepared. And you know what? They had an earthquake in, We had an earthquake in California a few days ago. We've had a lot of things going on weather-wise. We've had some pretty severe storms here a couple of weeks back when the last tropical storm came through. It's important to have a weather radio. You got to have a weather radio. And, I can't stress the importance enough. We have several. I have a number of two-way radios that are also weather radios. I've got a couple of these. That's a small Midland weather radio, and I have another one here. It's a camo version. This is used by a lot of hunters, by the way. And I have this one here, which is a combination emergency weather radio and a GMRS radio. These three are from Midland radio, and I'm a big fan of Midland, by the way. But everybody should have a weather radio. We have some weather radio. We have a weather radio downstairs. All of these radios that I just showed you briefly do have NOAA weather stations and weather alerts on them. So if you have it on, a weather alert comes through, it'll alert you to an emergency weather condition. You really should have that because you know what? You just never know when the weather's going to turn bad for you, and you want to be prepared. You want to be prepared anyway. Go to ready.gov, ready.gov. It's a government site on how to prepare for emergency weather conditions. And as I mentioned before, that it's not just for weather, but other emergencies as well. Earthquakes, tsunamis, hailstorms, various other things, and pandemics. It will alert you to pandemics. The National Weather Service is there to alert you to a lot of different emergencies. It works in tandem with the emergency alert service, the emergency alert system, I should say. And the emergency alert system will alert you to all kinds of things. Amber alerts, silver alerts. The silver alerts are for the elderly. A lot of different types of emergencies. So you really want to have a weather radio there for that reason. Not just for the weather alerts, but the others as well, including the pandemic alerts, like the one we've been going through. I have been authorized. Of course, I work, for full disclosure, I'm the product manager for BuyTwoWayRadios.com. I work for BuyTwoWay Radios. That's my day job. I do this for fun, okay? My day job is I work for BuyTwoWay Radios. My boss has authorized me to offer a 5% discount If you purchase a weather radio or any kind of it can be any kind of weather radio or a weather or any kind of radio accessory, including this one. This one I've gotten here is actually a radio accessory. This is a surveillance earpiece, but I have adapted it to use with a 2.5 millimeter plug or 3.5 millimeter plug, adapted to use so I can monitor the audio on my podcast and my live stream. So if you do live streaming, if you do podcasts, you want a surveillance earpiece to kind of hide some of that, you can do that with this. This is a $20 earpiece. It's right here. And it's made by XLT. Sold at buy2wayradios.com. You can go to, whoops, the wrong one. You can go to buy2wayradios.com, purchase a weather radio or any kind of radio or any kind of radio accessory. Use the promo code WINESHOW. That's WINESHOW. That's WINESHOW. WINESHOW at checkout, and you'll get 5% off your order. Okay? 5% off your order. And this has been authorized for me to use by my boss at Buy Two Way Radios. Now, having said that, on another slightly different note, a lot of people say, well, you're doing endorsements and stuff. I'm going to kind of endorse a book here in a few moments by Chris Kremitzos here. You're doing these endorsements, and these are paid endorsements, and you got commercials in here and stuff like that. Not really, okay? Let me explain something here about about the endorsements. The Wine Show one is one that I offer you because I can. It's I work for them. It's my job. I can. I'm not making any money from this, okay? The other one, the Start Ugly book by Chris Kremitzos. I'm not making any money on this. I'm just doing this for Chris and because I believe in the book. I like the book. It's a one that I personally liked, and I'm giving one away here on the Wine Stream, and we'll explain that a minute from now. Boy, this is kicking in, isn't it? But I don't make any money from that either. I don't have any paid endorsements here. Let me make something, I just want to make, this is my rant for the night. I want to make something perfectly clear to everyone. I would love to be making some revenue from this, from Drink with Rick. I would love to do that. It would be great. Wouldn't that be perfect? I mean, here I am. I could get paid for drinking wine, right? That would be great. I would love that. But the reality is, I'm not. Not right now. Not in the last 61 episodes I've done. This is episode 62. I have not made, the last year and a half, I have not made any money from this show. In fact, I've spent a lot of money on this show, and I do it because I want to interact with you, and I like to give stuff away, and I just like to have fun and a good time. This is a hobby for me. This one right here is just a hobby. I'm not making any money from it, okay? Have not made any money. Now, yes, I have received a few free bottles of wine in exchange for an honest review, and when I have done that, every time I've done that, I'll let you know. I've let you know that I have that bottle of wine was provided for me for free in exchange for an honest review. I've done that, and I will continue to do that. So trust me on this. If I get a free bottle, I will tell you that I got it for free, and I will give a fair, honest review. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm not just going to give a glowing review just because I got a free bottle of wine. If it's no good, I will say it's no good. If it's good, I'll say it's good. I'm just being completely 100% honest with you. Having said that, everything that I've done giveaways on the show. I've done a lot of other different things on the show where I've spent money. This costs me money. I spend money doing this. I spend money each month doing the multi-streaming. The multi-streaming on all the different platforms costs me money. I don't get any recoup from that. When I do the podcast, it's all, it's whatever's in here. I'm not adding any ads. If there are any ads added to it, it's coming from some of the platforms that the podcast is on, like Spotify or iHeartRadio or something like that, those are their ads. I don't see a dime from that. Stitcher Radio, I don't see a dime from that. They may insert ads into that program. I'm just being absolutely clear on that. If you hear the podcast on any of those platforms, I want to let you know right now, Spotify, iHeart, Stitcher, whatever, that those ads that they insert into the podcast before, ahead, or, the end or in the middle of the podcast, that's something they're doing. I don't make any money from that. Zero. They don't give any of it to me. Absolutely none of it comes to me. So I don't see any of that. And having said that, I do spend a fair amount of money doing this. This is a hobby for me. Now, as I said before, would I like to be making money on this? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll take on a sponsor if I do. But I'm telling you this up front that I'd love, that's great. That'd be fun. Because it would offset the costs of doing this show. It would just offset the costs. I'm not going to get rich doing this. I don't think so. I'm not Joe Rogan. I didn't just get a $100 million deal from somewhere to be exclusive on a platform, and I'm not going there right now, by the way. No, this is just something I'm doing for fun because I like to be here on Saturday nights, and because I like to be here with you. This is a you and me kind of show. I like to be here hanging out with you and drinking wine and just having a good time. That's all. Now, it would be great if someday I could make some money at it. I don't know. How long the show will be going, I don't know. We'll see. I have no idea. But for the time being, for now, I'm making zero from this. Now, if you'd like to contribute something, that'd be great. You don't have to. I'm not asking you to contribute anything. Not at this point, anyway. I'm not asking you to contribute anything to the show. But what I am saying is that if you're concerned about endorsements, I want to be perfectly clear that I am not, these are not paid endorsements. And when they do become paid endorsements, if and when they do become paid endorsements, I will let you know. I will let you know right away, right off the bat, if they ever become paid endorsements. Okay? But I want to be clear that you can trust me because that's not really what this show's about. Okay? So, and I want to be upfront and straight with you because we have a relationship here, you and me. And I'm not here to sell you stuff, per se. At least not right now. Now, if I ever get to that point, I'll let you know. I'll let you know. But I do have to do something to keep the lights on, literally, the studio lights and everything. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. But as long as I have the cash to do it, which, I'm pretty tight on budget, I'll continue to deliver the show. Okay? Just for fun. And that's my general rant. Anyway, so I think that pretty much gets close to it. We got one more clip to show, right? One more clip. This is the final clip for Attack of the Bubble Creatures, and I'm going to show it to you now. All right, so wait, that's the wrong clip. All right, let's go back to. It's not letting me go. Okay, that was what we just saw, that clip. All right, let me go back to the final clip. Okay, so Dana is fighting off these bubble creatures, and of course they've devised this plan to try to draw the bubble creatures out. Mike's on the roof calling to the bubble creatures, "Hey dummies, I'm up here." And so the bubble creatures see him up there, and they go off to chase Mike and leave Dana there. And the plan is, of course, to draw the bubble creatures in and destroy them all at once. Chris is calling Dana over. Dana runs over, and then they're over at a gym set. They're at a swing set, a gym set, and they're putting little pointy things on the gym set. Now, while Michael is running down the neighborhood, drawing the bubble creatures, they're preparing this gym set with all these pointy things, pencils and pens and things like that, markers to pop them with. And they're getting ready. And Michael comes back, and he's got all the bubble creatures behind him. And Chris says, Mike, over here. So Mike goes over to where Chris is, and then they get ready with this gym set, and then they drop it on all the bubble creatures and pop a whole bunch of them. And the bubble creatures have decided at this point that they're outmatched, and they run back to their ship, and they're chasing them back. And there they all go back into their ship. And then, of course, Dana and Chris and Mike are celebrating that they've won the battle, chase the bubble creatures back to their ship. And Mike points and says, they're leaving. And then you see the ship in a big explosion take off. They shoots off, and then it shoots up into the sky. And then, of course, the final shot is Dana, Chris, and Mike all looking up the sky saying, hey, kind of planning, well, we chased them a while. Do you think they'll ever be back? Probably not. Who knows? Whatever, we don't care. The movie's over. So that's the Attack of the Bubble Creatures. Now what comes up here are the credits. Got a star field coming up, and this is the credits here were all done on cell animation, more or less, cells pushed up. And the cast, Dana Dunham, Mike Savoya, Chris Brownson, they were all in the cast of this movie. The story by Rick Savoya, that's me, yours truly. Special effects were by Rick Savoya and Dana Dunham. Dana and I this was basically our film. Miniatures, Rick Savoya, I did a lot of miniature work there. Subtitles, Dana Dunham, I mentioned last week, Dana did all the subtitles. I think he did some of the titles here on this too. Grip, Gina Savoya. Gina helped us, my sister Gina helped us on some stuff. I think she held some things for us when we were shooting it and everything. I was doing the camera work, and we just gave her a credit for being the grip. Produced and directed by Rick Savoya, and the end, and that is the end of the Attack of the Bubble Creatures, the classic film from early 1970s, I want to say, 1972. Anyway, so that was that. So, how'd you like the film? Let me know if you liked it, if you didn't like it, whatever, you didn't care. I don't know. So, like I said, it's always better after a few drinks, at least to me. But I've got a whole bunch of those kind of films sitting in and someday I'm going to transfer all of them to video. Hopefully I can do that at some point. Anyway, so that's Attack of the Bubble Creatures. I'm glad you joined me here tonight. I wanted one more thing that I want to make a note of is our current promotion, as I mentioned earlier, for Start Ugly. This is if I can find the thing again. Let me see. Here it is, the Start Ugly book. Start Ugly, you saw behind me there. Start Ugly is a book by Chris Kremitzos. It's a timeless tale about innovation and change, and this is a great book. It's like a coffee table book, but it's also kind of like a motivational poster. This is like, if it's something where it explains to you how, if you have an idea or something, that you should just go ahead and do it, not wait for everything to be perfect to make it happen, or else it won't ever happen. So I'm giving away a copy of this book. Chris has given me a copy to give away, and I want to give it away to you. So what I'm asking you to do is to send me it doesn't have to be an essay or anything, just a one-liner, just name the idea. That's all you have to do. Just name or tell me what idea, project, or dream do you have but have put off starting or completing for one reason or another. Let me read that again. What idea, project, or dream do you have but have put off starting or completing for one reason or another? Now, if you do this, if you send me those things, I will take the entries. I will go through the entries, and I will choose the I'll choose the best entry, and that best entry will win a copy of Start Ugly by Chris Kremetzos. Please send your entries in. You can send your entries in to Rick at SavoyaMedia.com. That's Rick at SavoiaMedia.com. Send in your entries there, and you could win a copy of Start Ugly. Seriously, I'm sending. This is a $20 book. It's a $20 book, and I've got one that I can give you for free. So you can't be free, right? So what does it hurt you? Just send me some idea or whatever, and I'll send you the book. Okay, if you win, I'll pull an entry and send you a book. Anyway, tonight we've been drinking once again the Terre Chardonnay. We don't have a vintage year on this. There's no vintage year. I have no idea, but I tell you what, it was actually pretty decent. My final review on this is that it was rather buttery, as not surprising for Chardonnay. It was actually rather buttery. It was. It is because I still have a little bit left in the bottle. Not much because I drank quite a bit of it, but there is still a little bit left in the bottle. And let's see, anything going on Twitch here at the moment? No, we're going to stream froze. Okay, stream froze. That's good to know. So we have notes of apple, some green apple in there that I tasted, and some notes of actually it tasted very much like a pineapple and green apple mixed, which is really good, which means it's aged fairly well. It went pretty well with the chicken. I like the chicken, the creamy chicken. It went really well with. It went pretty well with the creamy Gouda, the Trader Joe's creamy Gouda. Kind of on the fence there with the other cheeses, the cheddar and the Parmesan. But I really liked it with the chicken, and it actually didn't do too bad with the cheesecake that my wonderful wife Chi made. So anyway, that's my final review. $5.95 a bottle, $5.99 a bottle, whatever it was. It's actually fairly decent. So I would say it's not a bad wine. It's not a bad Chardonnay. Once again, I'm not a white wine drinker per se, but I'll tell you what, I'll drink the Chardonnay. It was actually pretty good. I'm impressed. I was very surprised, but also impressed. Actually, not bad. So if you happen to catch it, Terre Chardonnay, might want to give it a try. All right, well, I guess that does it for me tonight. I want to thank everyone who joined me in the chat tonight. I want to thank, I'll go through the list here. I want to thank Penny, my sister Penny, for joining me in the chat. I want to I want to thank Stephanie. Yeah, I have had too much for this. I want to thank Stephanie for being here tonight in the chat, and Tommy, and of course CM Cinder, and who else was with me here in Twitch tonight? It was Scott MTHW. Thank you for joining me on the chat tonight. Next week, you know that next week is actually Rosé Day? Next Saturday is Rosé Day, and in honor of Rosé Day, I'm going to open a rosé, something else I don't normally drink, but we're going to try one of those out. That's next week on drinkwithrick.com. In the meantime, I want to thank everyone for joining me on the wine stream tonight. And I want to ask that you please stay safe, continue to stay safe, use good social distancing. I'm not going to play the PSA. Okay, I think we all know the drill, right? Practice good, safe social distancing, wear a mask when you're out and about. Just be careful and use common sense. Use common sense. Please do not drink and drive. Please do not text and drive. Because I want you to have a great week. I want you to have a safe week, and I want you to join me next week on the Saturday Night Wine Stream, and we can all get together and drink with Rick. Good night.